My marriage started with great ambition and success, but it was invaded by a terrible disaster, then faded into ashes. I met this guy in Nairobi. We met through a library session, since reading was my hobby. I mostly prefer reading books in my boring times, and I mostly love horror books. It was a coincidence. I mean, we kept finding ourselves in the same library, same life background, same interests, so we got close to one another. In the long run, things went deep. I found myself unable to reject him because he had potential in one way or another. By that time, I had my own life. I had my own shop. I was running a small agricultural plot in the countryside. This would cover my basic living expenses. And I had a small house in the same countryside. But this guy, he was a cinematographer, I remember. Actually, he was good, I can remember. But he wasn't famous. He was just starting his career. So after getting into each other, followed by engagement, then finally marriage, God was good. We got a child, and life went on smoothly. It was our unfortunate the child had a serious health problem. She didn't last longer. After a long time, we opened a film company. It wasn't that big, but at least it hired some people. And the man was the operator. After some time, we expanded my shop into a supermarket. In short, our life became successful. Then, we got an idea of recruiting another person, someone who would help me in my supermarket. I brought it up to my husband. He agreed, and we did it. Here was my mistake. As a businesswoman, I had to recruit a young and strong lady who could stand up for my business. But look, yes, I got her. She was moderately tall, dark hair, nice voice compared to mine. I brought her to my supermarket and hired her. The next day, my husband visited the shop and saw her. Finally, he approved of her based on the way she looked and worked. And that was the greatest mistake I ever made in my life. As the days went on, my husband started regularly visiting my shop. It wasn't that normal. The maid started dodging work with excuses. My husband started lying about his location. He would rush out after a phone call. He stopped asking about the business progress. In short, he became mind your own business. I didn't stop myself from asking what was going on. Maybe I had disappointed him unknowingly. Maybe he had family issues. Maybe he was hiding financial problems. But nothing wrong was his favorite answer. So I stayed silent and observed the movie. Days ran. God isn't cruel. He decided to reveal my husband's evilness. It was morning. I was doing laundry. I picked up one of his trousers, checking the pockets, thinking he might have forgotten something inside. First pocket, nothing. I put my hand inside the second pocket. Rubber. Trust me, it wasn't our thing. I had nothing to say, but to remain blown up. What I did was thank the Almighty for what He had brought in front of me. I asked God to give me strength. Then I separated the trouser and put the rubber back in it. I proceeded with the other clothes. He was still asleep because he'd come home late. When I asked him earlier, he told me I had a very important task to accomplish. I didn't want to go further. I let it be. And now it was morning when I'd found the rubber. So as I'm proceeding with laundry, there he was terrified, asking, "Where's that trouser I wore yesterday night?" Calmly I replied, "There it is." He looked at it. He grabbed it. The rubber fell. He remained amazed. He didn't say anything. He just tried to leave. But I didn't let him go. "Can you pick your stuff, please?" I told him. He came back, picked it up, then silently rushed out. Life went on. I neither dared to raise the issue, nor did he. Yes, Sasa Tundalia. After 4 months, I remember it was a bit late in the morning. He was in the bathroom showering. I was in our bedroom, tidying up. His phone was on the dressing table. 2 messages popped up. 1, Bay, 2, on my way. I got caught by the texts. I tried to unlock the phone, but my husband had already changed the passcode. I exhaled heavily, then put the phone back. When he came back, the only thing I said was, "Check your phone." He checked and said nothing. Days went on, but I remained silent. I remember it was Monday, a day that ended everything. I got a call from my driver, who used to transport the groceries to my shop. It was the day for going to the general sales shop. The journey would take half a day, as it was quite far from my shop, and my husband knew that perfectly. Look, God will remain the Almighty. The moment I met the driver, he received a call from the hospital. His wife had a serious health problem, so we had to postpone. From that circumstance, I had to go back home and get ready for the shop. The journey would take about 20 minutes to reach home. I arrived home, opened the door, locked, so I had to use my key, thinking my husband had already left for work. When I entered, I encountered a strange perfume which smelled familiar. I had a small intuition, but I cut it off. I walked all the way to the bedroom. I opened the door. There was my husband. Not only my husband, with my shop employee. Her lying on my husband's chest, on my bed. But I was so vulnerable. I couldn't even say a single word. People fight. People scream. People confront. But I did none of those things. I ended up sitting on a nearby chair, smiling. My husband and the thief remained frozen, trying to apologize. Me, silent. After a few minutes, I regained my strength. I stood up. I turned around. I slowly went out of the room and headed to the living room. What did I do? I returned to the sitting room. I bent to my knees. I thanked God and entrusted everything to Him. I said, "If I have ever wronged anyone in this way, then I accept whatever consequences come my way. But if I have never wronged anyone like this, then I believe you will stand with me and repay the time, trust, and costs I have invested in these people." Then I rose to my feet. I gathered my belongings, and because I had already realized this, that he was cheating on me, though I didn't know with whom, and I didn't want to know. I had prepared myself for that moment. So I left and began my new life. Now, what happened next? He came back to me. He confessed. It didn't take long before things escalated. Deals started not to go well. The girl ended up pregnant by another man. We broke up. I started falling into debt. Later, the house was no longer in my possession, and to this day, I have no job or anything. Please, I have realized my error. Forgive me. Dear listener, do you think I should?